Welcome, everyone. Have you ever stopped to think about how much is really packed into a simple question like, what's your phone number? Well, in Mandarin Chinese, this seemingly basic interaction is an absolutely fascinating journey. It takes us into the language's grammar, the way words are built, and some really important cultural details. So today, we're going to break it all down.
Here's a roadmap for today. First, we're going to learn the standard go-to phrase. Then, we'll put on our linguistic detective hats and really take it apart, piece by piece, to see how it works. After that, we'll look at a more casual, everyday way to ask. And, crucially, we'll talk about when to use each one. We'll finish up in the pronunciation lab to make sure you sound authentic, and then we'll put all those pieces back together.
All right, let's start at the beginning, laying the foundation. Before you can learn any shortcuts or slang, you really need to master this one complete, polite, and universally understood sentence. This is your starting point.
So here it is. 你的电话号码是多少? Now, this is the phrase you can rely on in pretty much any situation. It's polite enough for a new acquaintance or a professional setting, but it's not so formal that it would sound weird in daily life. But we're not just here to memorize it, right? We're going to figure out why it's built this way, because I promise you, in this sentence, every single character has a specific and very important job to do.
Okay, so let's pop the hood and get into the mechanics of this phrase. It's time to deconstruct it piece by piece. This is where you go from just repeating phrases to truly understanding the language and its incredible internal logic.
Our first building block is this character, dian, pronounced dian. It means electricity. Now, I know what you're thinking. That might seem a little random at first, but it raises a really interesting question. Why on earth would the word for telephone start with electricity? The answer actually reveals something profound about how Mandarin works. The language often builds words from modern technology from its most basic parts. It's a very logical, almost descriptive approach.
Next up, we have hua, or hua. This character is all about communication. It means speech, talk, words. It represents the very reason a telephone exists. So now we have our two key ingredients, electricity and speech.
And here is where the magic happens. When you combine dian, electricity, and hua, speech, you get dianhua, literally electric speech. How cool is that? It's a perfectly logical and descriptive word for telephone. This is a fundamental principle of Mandarin vocabulary, and once you get it, really get it, you'll start seeing these logical word-building combinations everywhere.
Okay, next up is haoma. Haoma. This is a big one. It doesn't just mean any old number, like the concept of 5 or 10. No, haoma specifically means a number that's used for identification, a series of digits that points to something specific. So think about your phone number, a ticket number, a license plate, a hotel room number. All of those use haoma.
And that brings us to the actual question part of the sentence. 是多少? Now, this is an absolutely crucial point for English speakers. Literally, this translates to is how many. But in Mandarin, this is the standard way to ask what is the number when you're expecting an answer with a bunch of digits. You aren't asking for a quantity, you're asking for the specific set of numbers that make up that ID. It's a fixed, reliable pattern you can count on.
Excellent. So, now that we have painstakingly built our formal sentence from the ground up, let's see what happens when the situation changes. Because language is alive, right? It adapts. And in more relaxed settings with people you know well, things tend to get a little shorter. So here you can see the difference, side by side. On the left is our full formal phrase, and over on the right, the casual version. 电话多少? Just look at what's missing. The possessive your, the specific word for ID number, 号码, and the verb to be, 是, all gone. It's been boiled down to the absolute essentials. Telephone, how many? This is what you're going to hear in everyday conversation with your friends.
This brings us to what might be the most critical part of our entire lesson today. Seriously. Knowing the words is one thing, but knowing the culture, knowing when and how to use them, is what separates a language student from a true communicator. Using the wrong level of formality can create awkwardness, or even worse, it could signal disrespect.
Okay, so let's be crystal clear about the context here. You will always use the full formal phrase 你的电话号码是多少 when you need to show respect. This means when you're speaking to your professors, your boss, your elders, or a client in a business meeting. Using this phrase shows that you understand social hierarchy and you're acting appropriately. In contrast, the casual 电话多少 is for your peers, your friends, your classmates, people you have a relaxed relationship with. Using the full formal phrase with a close friend might even sound a bit strange or distant, almost like you're putting up a wall between you two. This choice is a really subtle but powerful social signal.
All right, we've got the theory down cold. Now it's time for the practice. In Mandarin, as you all know very well, if the tones are off, the meaning can be completely lost. So let's really work on the proper pronunciation for both of our phrases.
Let's start with the formal phrase. I'm going to say it very slowly, breaking down each syllable. Listen really closely to the tones and try to say it with me. 你的电话号码是多少? Excellent. Now, let's try it at a more natural conversational speed. Listen for the rhythm, the flow. 你的电话号码是多少? Go ahead, try repeating that a few times.
Now for the casual version. Okay, let's do it slowly first. Repeat after me. 电话多少? Pay close attention to those sharp falling fourth tones on 电 and 话. Okay, now let's try it at natural speed. 电话多少? See how it's quicker, more direct? That's the informal feel you're really going for.
Now, let's zero in on some common trouble spots I hear all the time. First, the character de. It has a neutral tone, which means it should be very quick, light, and unstressed. Don't linger on it. Second, that series of fourth tones in 电话号码. I want you to think of a sharp downward chop for each one. 电话号码. They have to be distinct and forceful. And finally, in 你的, the first character 你 is normally a third tone, but because of tone sandhi rules, it becomes a second tone here. Make sure it actually rises, like you're asking a question. 你? Getting these little details right is what's going to make you sound so much more authentic.
So let's just step back and recap what we've accomplished today. We started with what seemed like a simple question, and we've explored its grammar, the logic of its vocabulary, the critical cultural rules for using it, and the fine points of its pronunciation. You're now equipped to do so much more than just ask for a phone number. You can do it with real cultural awareness and linguistic precision. And I'll leave you with this final thought to really expand on what we've learned here. You now possess a really powerful grammatical pattern, thing plus 是多少. So think about it. How would you ask for someone's room number? Or maybe their flight number? You have the tools now. The real test is to take this structure and see how you can apply it in new situations. That is when you truly begin to speak a language.